The Galactic Council had ruled for 12,000 years. Their word was law. Their fleets were endless. Their technology was beyond question. When they spoke, entire civilizations listened. When they pointed, worlds burned. They called themselves peacekeepers. They called themselves protectors. But the smaller races knew the truth. The Council did not protect. They controlled. Humanity had joined the galaxy only 70 years ago. We were young. We were weak. We had ships that barely crossed our own star system when the Council found us. They arrived with smiles and treaties. They offered trade routes and protection. They spoke of unity and peace. We signed their documents. We followed their laws. We paid our taxes and resources and labor. And for a while, we believed we had found friends among the stars. Commander Elena Reeves stood on the observation deck of Station Harmony, watching the stars through reinforced glass. She was 42 years old. Her hair was tied back in a simple knot. Her uniform was clean but worn at the edges. She had served the Council for 15 years. She had believed in their mission, but belief was a fragile thing. "Commander, we have a situation." The voice belonged to Marcus Chen, her second in command. He was younger, sharper, always thinking 3 steps ahead. Council fleet just seized another human colony ship. Destination Kepler 442. They're calling it a violation of expansion protocols. Elena closed her eyes. That's the 4th ship this month. 5th, actually. They took one near Proxima last week. Didn't even report it. She turned to face him. What reason did they give? Unauthorized settlement trajectory. Possible resource conflict with a protected zone. Marcus paused. The protected zone was declared 2 days after the ship launched. They made it illegal retroactively. Elena felt something cold settle in her chest. It was not anger, not yet. It was recognition. The pattern was clear now. Too clear to ignore. For months, human expansion had been blocked. Trade agreements were changed without warning. Colony permits were denied. Ships disappeared. And every time humanity asked why, the Council smiled and spoke of regulations and safety and the greater good. But there was no greater good. There was only control. "They're boxing us in," Elena said quietly. "They want us contained." Marcus nodded. "I've been tracking the data. Every major human route has been restricted in the past year. Our trade income is down 60%. Colony growth is frozen. And the Council just approved 3 new military stations along our borders. They're preparing for something. Or preventing something." Marcus stepped closer. "Commander, there are rumors. Whispers from other species. The Council has done this before. Small races that grew too fast. Too independent. They were cut off, isolated, and then... Then what? Then they stopped existing." Elena looked back at the stars. Somewhere out there, human families were waiting for colony ships that would never arrive. Children were learning Council history in schools, being taught that humanity's place was small and grateful. Soldiers were being trained to serve fleets that did not respect them, and no one was fighting back. Because you could not fight the Council. Everyone knew that. Their weapons were unbreakable. Their shields were impenetrable. 50 races had tried to resist over the centuries. 50 races had been crushed. The Council used something called resonance barriers. It was technology so advanced that no projectile, no energy beam, no explosive could pass through. Every Council ship, every station, every soldier wore them. You could fire a nuclear warhead at a Council cruiser and watch it dissolve into harmless light before it even touched the hull. They were untouchable, unstoppable, eternal. That was what everyone believed. Elena pulled up a secure terminal and entered a code she had memorized but never used. The screen flickered. A file appeared. It was marked with a single word. "Ghost, what is that?" Marcus asked. "Something I was sent 3 weeks ago. Anonymous source." "I thought it was conspiracy theory." She opened the file. "Now I'm not so sure." The document detailed a project buried deep in the records of Earth's Military Research Division. It had started 20 years ago, long before humanity even knew the Council existed. A theoretical weapon system designed not to destroy barriers, but to ignore them entirely. The project had been abandoned. Funding was cut. The scientists were reassigned. But the core idea remained. "What does it do?" Marcus asked. "It doesn't break the barrier," Elena said slowly. "It's not designed to. Instead, it shifts out of phase with normal matter for a fraction of a second, passes through the barrier like it's not even there, then re-engages on the other side." Marcus stared at the screen. "That's impossible." The council said the same thing about their own barriers once. Elena closed the file. Someone is trying to tell us something. Someone who knows we're running out of time. Even if this is real, even if we could build it, the council would see it coming. They monitor every weapons facility on Earth, every research lab, every factory. Then we don't build it on Earth. Marcus went quiet. He understood immediately. Elena turned to face him fully. Gather a team. Scientists, engineers, people we can trust. Tell them nothing until they're off-world. Use the old mining stations near the asteroid belt. The ones listed as abandoned. That's treason, Commander. No. Elena's voice was steady. That's survival. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then Marcus nodded once. How many do we build? Enough to matter. Enough to make them bleed. She paused. 10. We build 10. Marcus left without another word. Elena stayed at the window, watching the stars. Somewhere in that vast darkness, the council fleets were moving, tightening the net, preparing the final stroke. But humanity was done obeying. We had been told we could not fight. We had been told resistance was suicide. We had been told to accept our place and be grateful for the mercy of our masters. They were wrong, because humanity did not break barriers by force. We did not throw ourselves against walls and hope they crumbled. We found another way through, and this time, the galaxy would learn what that meant. The mining station designated as Site 7 had been silent for 11 years. Its records listed it as depleted and abandoned. No ore, no value, no reason for anyone to look twice. That was why Elena chose it. The team arrived in small groups over 2 weeks. 12 scientists, 8 engineers, 4 security personnel. Each one was told only what they needed to know. Each one was chosen because they had lost something to the council. A family member reassigned, a project shut down, a dream crushed under regulations that made no sense. They were not soldiers. They were builders. And they were angry. Dr. Yuki Tanaka was the first to understand the full scope of the project. She was a physicist, small and quiet, with eyes that missed nothing. She had spent 6 years studying exotic matter before the council banned her research. Too dangerous, they said. Too unpredictable. She stood in the retrofitted lab, staring at the blueprints Elena had provided. This is insane, she said softly. Can it work? Elena asked. Yuki did not answer immediately. Her fingers traced the diagrams, following the logic of the design. The theory is sound. Phase-shifting matter requires precise manipulation of quantum states, but the energy cost would be enormous, and the timing has to be perfect. Off by even a microsecond, and the round rematerializes inside the barrier itself. It would explode before it reached the target, but it's possible. Yuki looked up. Possible, yes. Practical? That's another question. Marcus stepped forward. Doctor, we don't need perfect. We need functional. Can you build a prototype? How much time do I have? 6 months, maybe less. Yuki laughed. It was not a happy sound. You're asking me to compress 10 years of research into half a year, with limited resources, in secret, while the most powerful government in the galaxy is actively hunting for exactly this kind of project. Yes, Elena said simply. Yuki looked at her for a long time. Then she nodded. I'll need access to the old quantum labs on Europa, and a fabrication team that knows how to work with unstable materials. You'll have it. The work began the next day. Site 7 came alive with controlled chaos. Fabricators hummed. Equations filled every screen. Theories were tested, discarded, rebuilt. Sleep became a luxury. Mistakes were not tolerated. There was no room for failure. 3 months in, they had their first breakthrough. A test round phased successfully through a council-grade barrier in a sealed chamber. It worked for exactly 0.3 seconds before destabilizing and vaporizing itself. It was not enough, but it was proof. Dr. Tanaka refined the design. The engineers reinforced the casing. The fabricators ran day and night. And slowly, painfully, the weapon took shape. It was not elegant. It was not beautiful. It looked like something built in desperation by people who had run out of options. Because that was exactly what it was, but it worked. The first functional prototype fired successfully on the 147th day of the project. The round passed through the barrier, struck the target plate, and detonated with perfect precision. The room went silent. Then someone started clapping. Then another. Then everyone. Elena watched from the observation window. She did not smile. She did not celebrate, because she knew what came next. They built 9 more, each one slightly different, each one refined from the last. By the time the 6th month arrived, they had 10 working weapons. Not guns exactly, rifles, each one coded to its operator. Each one carrying 6 rounds, 60 shots to change the course of history. Marcus ran the tactical simulations. Even with these, we're outnumbered 1,000 to 1. The Council has 12 major fleets. We have 1 station and a dream. We don't need to beat them, Elena said. We need to prove they can bleed. And then what? Then the rest of the galaxy sees that the Council is not untouchable. And everything changes. But there was a problem. A problem Elena had known about from the beginning but had not shared with anyone. The Council was already watching. It started with small things. A supply shipment delayed. A communications blackout that lasted 3 hours. A patrol ship that passed too close to the asteroid belt. Then came the message. It arrived on Elena's personal terminal. No source code. No signature. Just 5 words. We know what you are building. Marcus saw it over her shoulder. That's impossible. We've been careful. Every transmission is encrypted. Every movement is cleared. Careful is not enough. Elena deleted the message. Someone talked. Or someone guessed. Either way, we're out of time. What do we do? Elena stood. We move. Now! Get everyone off this station! Transfer the weapons to the transport ships. We scatter the team across 6 different locations. And the guns. We take them to the one place the Council can't ignore. Elena pulled up a star map. Eden Station. The Council's diplomatic hub. 3 days from now, they're hosting the Unity Summit. Every major race will be there. Every Council leader. Every ambassador. Marcus stared at her. You want to attack a peace summit? I want to show the galaxy what peace really costs. Elena's voice was cold. The Council has ruled through fear for 12,000 years. They've made themselves gods. Untouchable. Unbreakable. We're going to shatter that illusion in front of everyone. That's suicide. Maybe, but it's also the only move they won't expect. She turned to face him. They think we're afraid. They think we'll hide. They're wrong. Marcus was quiet for a long time. Then he nodded. When do we leave? 2 hours. The evacuation was fast and silent. Site 7 was stripped clean. Every trace of the project was erased. The weapons were divided among 3 transport ships, disguised as medical supplies and mining equipment. Elena watched the station recede into the darkness. Somewhere behind them, the Council was moving, searching, hunting, but they were looking in the wrong places, because humanity had learned something the Council had forgotten. The most dangerous weapon was not the one you saw coming. It was the one you never believed existed. And now, for the first time in galactic history, someone had built a gun that could kill a god. The only question left was whether anyone would have the courage to pull the trigger. Eden Station hung in space like a jewel. It was enormous, spanning 3 kilometers across, built from silver alloys and crystalline viewports that caught the light of a nearby star. It was the crown of the Council's empire, a symbol of their permanence, their perfection. It was also the most heavily defended structure in the galaxy. Elena's transport approached with a forged diplomatic clearance. The identification listed them as a human medical delegation, attending the Unity Summit to discuss healthcare protocols. The Council checkpoint scanned their ship twice. Then a third time. They're suspicious, Marcus whispered. He sat beside Elena in the pilot's cabin, hands steady on the controls. They're always suspicious. Elena kept her voice calm. Stay on course. The checkpoint officer's voice crackled through the comm. Human vessel, please stand by for secondary inspection. Elena's heart rate did not change. She had expected this. Acknowledged. Standing by. 2 patrol ships flanked them. Scanning beams swept over the hull. Minutes passed like hours. Then the officer spoke again. You are cleared for docking. Bay 14. Welcome to Eden Station. Marcus exhaled slowly. We're in. Step 1, Elena said quietly. They docked without incident. The 10 weapons were hidden inside medical containers marked with biohazard symbols. Council security rarely inspected those closely. Too much paperwork, too much liability. The team split into pairs. Elena and Marcus took 2 of the rifles. 4 others were distributed among trusted personnel. The remaining weapons were stashed in secure locations throughout the station, ready to be retrieved if needed. The Unity Summit began in 6 hours. Elena had that long to position her people and finalize the plan. But first, she needed to understand the station's defenses. She walked through the main concourse like any other delegate. Eden Station was beautiful in a cold, calculated way. Every surface gleamed. Every line was perfect. Thousands of beings from hundreds of species moved through the corridors, diplomats, traders, scholars, all of them here to celebrate the Council's vision of peace. None of them knew they were standing inside a cage. Elena reached the observation deck, overlooking the main assembly hall. Below, the stage was being prepared for the summit. Councillor Vren would speak first. He was ancient, even by Council standards. He had overseen the fall of 9 civilizations and called it mercy. Marcus joined her at the railing. Security is tighter than we thought. Barriers on every entrance. Scan points every 50 meters. Armed guards in Council armor. How many guards? 40 visible. Probably twice that many in reserve. Elena nodded slowly. The barriers are the problem. Even if we take out the guards, we can't reach the Council members themselves. They'll be shielded. That's why we brought the rifles. 10 weapons. 60 rounds. Against hundreds of targets and an entire station designed to trap us. Elena looked down at the empty stage. We need to force them into a position where the barriers don't matter. How? Elena pulled up a schematic of the station on her datapad. The assembly hall has secondary exits here, and here. But there's a central corridor that connects to the Council's private chambers. If we can funnel them into that corridor, we control the space. Narrow, limited cover. No room to maneuver. They'll just lock it down. Not if we give them a reason to run. Elena zoomed in on the power grid. The barriers require constant energy. If we overload the main reactor, even for a few seconds, the shields drop. That's our window. Marcus studied the schematic. Overloading the reactor means cutting life support to half the station. People will die. People are already dying. Out there. In colonies the Council erased. On ships they seized. Elena's voice was steady. We didn't start this, but we're going to finish it. The hours before the summit passed in tense silence. Elena briefed the team in encrypted bursts. Everyone knew their role. Everyone understood the cost. At 1800 hours, the summit began. The assembly hall filled with delegates. Councillor Vren took the stage. He was tall even by his species standards. His skin shimmered with a faint blue luminescence. His voice carried through the hall without amplification. We gather today to reaffirm the bonds of unity that protect us all, he began. For 12,000 years, the Council has guided the galaxy toward peace, toward prosperity, toward a future where all species thrive under our wisdom. Elena listened from her position near the back. The words were smooth, practiced, empty, but peace requires sacrifice, Vren continued. It requires obedience. It requires trust. There are those who would disrupt this balance. Those who place their own ambitions above the common good. We have seen such threats before. We have always prevailed. Elena's hand moved to the rifle hidden beneath her coat. Today we reaffirm our commitment to order, to stability, to the protection of all civilizations under our care. Vren paused. And we remind the galaxy that defiance is not courage. It is chaos. And chaos will not be tolerated. The hall erupted in applause, but it was polite, mechanical. The kind of applause people gave when they had no choice. Elena activated her comm. All teams stand by. Marcus was positioned near the reactor access corridor. 2 others were at the secondary exits. The rest were scattered through the crowd, ready to move. On my mark, Elena whispered. Vren continued speaking. His words blurred together. Promises, warnings, justifications for control dressed up as protection. Elena waited for the right moment. The exact second when every eye in the hall was on the stage. Then she gave the signal. Marcus triggered the overload. The lights flickered, then died. Emergency systems kicked in, bathing the hall in red. Alarms blared. Confusion rippled through the crowd. And for exactly 4 seconds, the barriers dropped. Elena moved. She pulled the rifle free, aimed at the stage, and fired. The round phased through the air like a ghost. It passed through the space where Vren's personal shield should have been. It struck him in the chest. He stumbled, fell. The hall erupted into chaos. Guards rushed the stage. Delegates screamed. The barriers flickered back online, but it was too late. The damage was done. Elena fired twice more. 2 guards went down. Then she was moving, pushing through the panicked crowd toward the exit. Fall back, she shouted into the comm. Secondary positions. The team scattered. Marcus triggered secondary charges near the reactor, forcing the Council's security to split their focus. The station shook. Power fluctuated. Somewhere deep in the structure, containment alarms screamed. Elena reached the corridor and took cover behind a support pillar. 3 council soldiers appeared, weapons raised. She fired. 1 shot, 1 kill. The round passed through his barrier like it was made of paper. The other 2 soldiers froze, stared. They had never seen someone die while wearing council armor. Elena fired again. Then a 3rd time. Both soldiers fell. She kept moving. Behind her, the sound of gunfire echoed through the station. Her team was fighting, dying, buying time, but time for what? Elena reached the command center and sealed the door behind her. She pulled up the station-wide broadcast system and activated it. Her face appeared on every screen in Eden Station. In the assembly hall, in the docking bays, in the council's private chambers. "My name is Commander Elena Reeves," she said. Her voice was calm, clear. "For 70 years, humanity has served the Galactic Council. We followed your laws. We paid your taxes. We trusted your promises." She paused. "Let the words sink in. You lied. You isolated us. You prepared to erase us, just like you erased the others." On the screens behind her, data scrolled. Records of council atrocities, species deleted from history, colonies burned, entire civilizations reduced to footnotes. You told the galaxy you were untouchable. You built barriers we could not break. You made yourselves gods. Elena held up the rifle. "Today we proved you're not." She fired at the camera. The broadcast cut to static, and across the galaxy 1,000,000 worlds watched in silence. The council had bled. The gods had fallen, and nothing would ever be the same. The fighting lasted 14 hours. Elena's team held the command center for the first 3. They used the narrow corridors to their advantage, forcing the council soldiers into kill zones where the phase rifles could strike without warning. Every shot that passed through a barrier was a statement, a declaration. But statements did not stop armies. By hour 4, 2 of Elena's team were dead. By hour 6, 4 more were wounded. The council pulled back, regrouped, and changed tactics. They stopped charging. Instead, they sealed sections of the station one by one, cutting off escape routes and supply lines. Elena watched from the command center as the net tightened. On the monitors, she could see council reinforcements arriving. 3 cruisers, then 5, then 10. They surrounded Eden Station like vultures. "We're trapped," Marcus said. Blood ran down his left arm from a shrapnel wound. He had wrapped it in makeshift bandages, but the bleeding had not stopped. "Even if we fight our way to the docking bay, they'll shoot us down the moment we launch." Elena did not respond. She was staring at a different screen, the one showing galactic news feeds. The broadcast had spread faster than she had imagined. Every major network was running the footage. Elena's face, her words. The proof that the council could bleed. Some networks called it terrorism. Others called it revolution. But everyone was talking about it. And that was what mattered. "Did we win?" Marcus asked quietly. Elena looked at him. "We're still alive. That means we haven't lost yet." But she knew the truth. They had struck the first blow. They had shattered the illusion. But the council was still standing. And now they were angry. The counterattack began at hour 7. Council Special Forces breached the command center through a ventilation shaft Elena had not considered. They moved with precision, using weapons that did not rely on barriers. Kinetic rounds, plasma charges, old technology but effective in close quarters. Elena's team fought back, but they were outnumbered and running low on ammunition. The phase rifles had 6 rounds each. Most were down to 2 or 3. One of the engineers, a man named David, who had built the first prototype, took a plasma bolt to the chest. He died instantly. Another team member, Sarah, lasted longer. She fired her last round, killed 2 soldiers, then drew a sidearm. She managed 3 more shots before they cut her down. Elena and Marcus retreated to the inner chamber. 5 others were still with them. 5 out of 24. "We need to surrender," one of them said. His name was James. He was young, barely 25. "We made our point. Let's negotiate." "There is no negotiating," Elena said. "The council does not take prisoners. They make examples. Then what do we do?" Elena looked at the remaining phase rifles. 3, with a total of 9 rounds between them. "We finish what we started." She pulled up the station schematic one last time. The council leaders had evacuated to a secured chamber deep in the core. It was protected by triple-layered barriers and a full platoon of elite guards. Impenetrable by any normal measure. But Elena did not need to breach the chamber. She needed to destroy it. The reactor, she said. If we overload it completely, the containment fails. The explosion will take out the entire core section. Marcus stared at her. That kills everyone. Us, them, every delegate still on this station. Thousands of people. The delegates are already dead. The council will execute them as collaborators the moment we're gone. You know that. Elena's voice was cold. This is the only move they won't see coming. Because they think we still care about survival, don't you? Elena met his eyes. I care about making them pay. The room went silent. Then James spoke. There has to be another way. There isn't. You're talking about mass murder. About becoming the thing we're fighting against. No. Elena's voice did not rise. I'm talking about showing the galaxy that the Council's protection is a lie. That their peace is built on corpses. If we die quietly, we're just another footnote. But if we take them with us, we're a warning. One by one, the others looked away. They understood. And they hated that they understood. Marcus loaded his last 3 rounds into his rifle. How long do we have? 30 minutes to reach the reactor. 5 minutes to set the overload. Then 15 minutes before containment fails. Elena checked her weapon. Plenty of time. They moved through the station like ghosts. The corridors were filled with smoke and emergency lighting. Bodies lay where they had fallen. Some were council soldiers. Most were not. At hour 9, they reached the reactor chamber. 4 guards stood at the entrance. Elena killed 2 before they even saw her. Marcus took the 3rd. James hesitated, then shot the 4th. Inside, the reactor hummed with barely contained power. It was a marvel of engineering. A fusion core the size of a small building, capable of powering a city for a century. Elena set the overload sequence. Her hands were steady. Once this is done, we have 15 minutes. To do what? James asked. To make sure the council knows who did this? To make sure the galaxy remembers. Elena activated the station-wide broadcast again. One last message, but before she could speak, the door exploded inward. Councillor Vren stood in the entrance. He was alive, wounded but alive. His chest was covered in medical wrap, but his eyes were clear. Furious. You stupid, reckless child, he said. His voice was weak but steady. Do you think this changes anything? We have ruled for 12,000 years. We will rule for 12,000 more. Elena raised her rifle. Not if you're dead. Then kill me. Prove that you are no better than the monsters you claim to fight. Elena's finger tightened on the trigger. But she did not fire, because Vren was smiling. You hesitate, he said, because you know the truth. You cannot win, even if you kill me, even if you destroy this station. The council will endure, and humanity will be erased. Every colony, every ship, every trace of your pathetic species will be scrubbed from history. Elena lowered the rifle. You're right. We can't win. Not like this. Vren's smile widened. Finally, wisdom. But we don't need to win. Elena looked at the reactor. The countdown was at 14 minutes. We just need to make sure you lose, she fired. Not at Vren, at the reactor controls. The systems exploded. Sparks flew. The countdown accelerated. 14 minutes became 5. Vren's smile vanished. What have you done? I've made you mortal. Elena turned to her team. Run! They ran! Through corridors. Through smoke. Through the screams of people who did not understand what was happening. Behind them, Vren shouted orders. Alarms blared. The station began to shake. Elena did not look back. She reached the docking bay and saw one transport still attached. She and Marcus sprinted toward it. James was behind them. The others were gone. Lost in the chaos, they reached the ship. Marcus hit the launch sequence. The bay doors opened, and then the reactor failed. The explosion was silent in the vacuum of space. But Elena saw it through the viewport. A flash of light so bright it hurt to look at. Eden Station, the crown jewel of the council, tore itself apart. The shockwave hit their ship. Alarms screamed. Hull plates buckled. But the transport held. They survived. Elena watched the debris field spread. Thousands dead. The council's leadership scattered or destroyed. The summit ended in fire, and she felt nothing, because winning meant losing everything. And they had just lost it all. The transport drifted for 3 days before anyone found them. Elena spent those days in silence. Marcus tried to talk to her twice. She did not respond. James sat in the corner, staring at nothing, his hands shaking. They had become exactly what they fought against. Killers, destroyers, People who decided that their cause was worth any price, and the price had been everything. On the third day, a ship appeared. It was not Council. It was not human. The identification beacon marked it as Viridian, a neutral species, traitors, observers, people who survived by never taking sides. The Viridian captain's face appeared on the view screen. She was old, her skin covered in the silver markings of her people. Her eyes were sharp. "You are the ones from Eden Station," she said. Not a question. A statement. "Yes," Elena said. "The Council has declared you war criminals. They are hunting your species. Every human colony is under quarantine. Your homeworld is blockaded." "I know." The Viridian captain studied her. "You killed thousands, destroyed the most secure station in the galaxy, started a war that will cost millions of lives." She paused. "Why?" Elena looked at her hands. They were steady. No shaking, no regret, just emptiness. "Because someone had to." "That is not an answer. It's the only one I have." The captain was silent for a long time. Then she said, "The galaxy is changing. Your broadcast reached every system. The proof you showed, the records of the Council's crimes, they cannot be ignored. 12 species have already withdrawn from Council territory. 50 more are debating. The Empire is fracturing." Elena looked up. "What? You proved the Council could bleed. That was all it took. People are no longer afraid." The captain's expression did not change. "But they are also terrified of you. Humanity has become the thing that breaks gods. And no one knows if you will stop with the Council." Marcus stepped forward. "We never wanted this. We just wanted to survive. Survival is never simple." The captain gestured. "I am here to offer you a choice. Surrender to the Council. They will execute you publicly, but they will spare your colonies. Or run, disappear, let humanity face the consequences alone." Elena stood. Her legs were weak. She had not eaten in 2 days, but her voice was steady. "There's a third option, which is, we go back. Not to Earth, to the other species, the ones who are afraid, the ones who are questioning." Elena pulled up a star map. "We show them how we built the weapons. We give them the plans, the research, everything." The captain's eyes widened. "You would arm the galaxy against the Council?" "Yes. That will create chaos, wars, destruction on a scale you cannot imagine. The Council already destroyed on a scale we couldn't imagine. They just did it slowly, quietly, one species at a time." Elena met the captain's gaze. "We're giving everyone a choice. Fight or serve. That's more than the Council ever offered." Marcus grabbed her arm. "Elena, think about this. If we spread the technology, we can't control how it's used. Species will turn on each other. Pirates will have weapons that can kill anyone. It will be anarchy. Maybe." Elena pulled her arm free. "But it will be honest. No more gods. No more empires that pretend they're protecting you while they cage you. Just people making choices and living with the consequences. That's not justice. That's chaos. Then call it chaos." Elena's voice was cold. "I'm done pretending there's a difference." The Viridian captain watched them argue. Then she spoke. "I will take your message, your plans. I will distribute them to the species who ask. But understand this. You will be remembered as the ones who broke the galaxy. Not as heroes, as warnings." "I can live with that," Elena said. The captain nodded once. "Then we have an agreement. Upload the data. I will leave you at the nearest neutral station. After that, you are on your own." The transfer took 6 hours. Every schematic, every equation, every note from Dr. Tanaka's research. The Viridian ship copied it all and disappeared into the darkness. Elena, Marcus and James were left at a station called Haven's Edge. It was small, forgotten, the kind of place people went when they did not want to be found. They found a bar that served something close to alcohol and sat in silence. Finally, James spoke. "Do you think we did the right thing?" Elena stared at her drink. "I think we did the only thing. That's not the same." "No, it's not." Marcus sighed. "The Council will hunt us forever. Even if the Empire falls, someone will remember. Someone will want revenge. Let them." Elena finished her drink. "We're already ghosts." They sat in silence for a long time. Around them, the station hummed with life. People laughed, argued, lived. None of them knew what was coming. None of them understood that the galaxy they knew was ending. Elena stood. "I'm going to find a ship. Head to the outer rim, somewhere the Council doesn't have eyes." "And then?" Marcus asked. "Then I disappear, become someone else. Live quietly. Hope no one remembers my face." That's not living. That's hiding. Elena looked at him. It's surviving. That's all we have left. She walked out of the bar and into the corridors of Haven's Edge. Behind her, Marcus and James stayed seated. She did not know if she would see them again. She did not know if she wanted to. 3 weeks later, the first reports came in. The Althean Confederation had used the phase rifle design to destroy a council patrol fleet. Then the Korvax Union did the same. Then the Drexus Collective. Within 6 months, 40 species had the technology. Within a year, the Council's fleets had been pushed back to their core systems. The Empire did not fall quickly. Empires never did, but it bled. And bleeding was enough. Elena watched the reports from a transport hauler she had bought with the last of her savings. She worked as a mechanic now under a false name, fixing engines on ships that traveled routes most people had forgotten existed. No one recognized her. Her hair was different. Her face had aged in ways that went beyond time. She looked like any other refugee, any other survivor of a galaxy that had torn itself apart. The news feeds played constantly in the crew quarters. Some days she watched. Most days she did not. The Council called it the Fracture War. Historians would later call it the Liberation. But Elena knew the truth. It was neither. It was just what happened when you gave frightened people weapons and told them they had a choice. Species fought the Council. Then they fought each other. Old grudges surfaced. New alliances formed and broke. The phase rifle technology spread like fire, and fire did not care what it burned. But something else spread too. A message. Quiet at first. Passed between ships in encrypted bursts. Shared in underground networks. Whispered in stations where the Council's authority had crumbled. It was not a message of hope. It was not a call to arms. It was simpler than that. They are not gods. They bleed. So do we. Now we choose what that means. No one knew who wrote it. But Elena recognized the words. She had said something similar once, in another life, to another person. She found Marcus 2 years after Eden Station. He was on a colony world called New Sigma, working as a teacher. Children sat around him in a prefab classroom, listening as he explained orbital mechanics using models made from scrap metal. Elena watched from the doorway. He looked older, quieter, but alive. When the class ended, she approached. "Hello, Marcus," he turned. For a moment, he did not recognize her. Then his eyes widened. Elena, they sat outside the classroom. The colony was small, barely 1,000 people, built on a world the Council had deemed unworthy of development, which meant it was free. "I didn't think I'd see you again," Marcus said. "I didn't think you'd want to. I didn't, for a long time." He looked at the children playing in the distance. "Then I realized hate takes more energy than I have left." Elena nodded. "Are you happy here?" "Happy is a strong word, but I'm useful. The kids need someone to teach them. Someone to show them the galaxy is bigger than their fears." He paused. "What about you?" "I fix engines. I move from place to place. I try not to think too much. Does it work?" No, they sat in silence. Then Marcus said, "Do you regret it?" Elena thought about the question. She thought about Eden Station, about the people who died, about the galaxy that burned, about the choice she made and could never unmake. "I regret that it was necessary," she said finally. "But I don't regret doing it," Marcus nodded slowly. "James killed himself 6 months ago. He left a note. Said he couldn't carry it anymore." Elena closed her eyes. She had not known James well. But she remembered his face when she gave the order to overload the reactor. The way he looked at her. Like she had become something terrible. Maybe she had. "The Council is offering amnesty," Marcus said. "To anyone who turns in the remaining engineers from the project. The ones who helped build the rifles. They're calling it reconciliation. It's a purge. I know. But some people are taking it. They're tired. They want it to be over." Elena looked at him. "Are you?" "No." Marcus's voice was firm. "I won't give them names. I won't help them erase what we did, but I won't keep fighting either. I'm done with that. Then what will you do?" "This. Teach. Build. Show these kids that the galaxy can be more than what we made it." He met her eyes. "What will you do?" Elena stood. "Keep moving. Stay ahead of the people who want me dead. Try to live long enough to see if any of this mattered." "It mattered," Marcus said. "The Council is broken. Species are free. That counts for something. Does it?" Or did we just trade one kind of tyranny for 100 smaller ones? Marcus did not answer, because there was no answer. Only time would tell.